So since the beginning of this month, since 1st of August, the citizens of Nigeria have been on the streets telling the government no to bad governance. They're saying no to the high cost of living because at this point, the cost of living is killing the living. Now, earlier this week, the president made a speech and told the people that he would do some things. But then the people are still saying he only made a speech. There is no change. They want a change and they would be having a massive protest on the 10th of this month, which is on Saturday. They'll be having a massive protest telling the government we're saying no to bad governance. We want you to do good by us. Do the best you can do. Make life easy for us. Things are getting difficult. And yeah, we talked about this last week and I feel that the people also have the reason why they're doing this and it is just for the good cause. Maybe, just maybe, the government is doing their things to make things better. But looking at it, I feel the approach of the government might be affecting the people's perspective. So the reason why I brought this in is because I'm talking about domestic violence today, and what's happening presently is also violence if we would look at it. But then that is not a matter for discussion today. We're talking about domestic violence. So welcome to another episode of Veegilant podcast, and I am your host Olaiton Baba today. I have with me in the studio my amazing people, Precious and Grace. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So like I said earlier, we'll be talking about domestic violence. Now, talking generally about violence means you're abusing another person. It could be sexually, it could be physically, it could be emotional, it could even be verbal abuse. Now, when it comes to domestic violence, I think when I started the program, I talked about the civic violence, which is the protest that is going on right now. When it comes to domestic violence, I had a discussion with Pelumi regarding this topic, and he said domestic violence cannot happen without a connection between the victim and the person doing this. So it could either be contractual relationship. This is between a boss and their subordinate at work. But then, in the workspace, you just feel like, oh, my boss is bullying me and all of that. And then when it comes to relationship, this is between a man and a woman. It could be the woman abusing, because most times we feel like it is only the men that abuse the women. But in the actual sense, women also do this. But let's leave that aside for now. And then we have the parents also having their own issues, the father and the mother having the issues. And then we have parents also abusing their children. So domestic violence can come in different areas. So I just want to ask you both, I'm starting from Precious now, what do you think about violence?
Okay, for me, I see violence as an aggressive behavior, like you using force, like you're forcefully trying to control me, like you must do this and whatever. And to me, right from onset, I don't even like it because I'm actually a very stubborn person.
Okay.
There's a way you follow me and talk. You don't raise your voice when you're talking to me. I'm not a child. So sometimes when you yell at me this and I see it as violence, like, why are you shouting? And I want to do what he asked me not to do.
Okay, so Grace, can you tell me what you think violence is all about?
So she has already underlined that word.
Okay, being aggressive.
Being aggressive. So I think let me just run through what it constitutes: hitting, shoving, rape, non-penetrating assault, and all of that. We have other harassment too.
Okay.
So you said we're talking about domestic violence. I feel that domestic self should be eradicated from that word, because it might not necessarily be, there should be another word tagged to the violence. When you say domestic, it's as if it's only happening around the house. No, there are some violence that take place between two spouses or whatsoever, anybody involved, two people involved outside. You see cases where boyfriend will go and meet, or even wife, let me just use wife, go and meet husband in the office, and and start constituting nuisance and all of that. Will you call that domestic too?
Okay.
So that is why I said maybe that word should be
reminded me of something.
Should be coined again.
I don't know who told me this story. I really can't remember. But somebody was telling me a story of a man, like in the office. So he has this copper girl that I think work in the same office with him.
Okay.
So I think they live in the same routes, like the same area.
Okay.
So you know that the way of you telling the girl that, oh yeah, now let's be going to the office together, that kind of thing. So on a very good day, just the way they used to go to the office together as the boss and the subordinate at the he said he wanted to buy something at the supermarket, so he stopped. The girl waited in the car and he walked inside to buy whatever he wanted to buy. So I don't know, maybe the wife's friend or something saw the girl, like, is this not my friend's husband's car? Who is the girl inside the car? She not called the friend. I know we women now, we don't wait to like even know what they saw. Woman was short nika and she came. And while her husband was not there, she said, so you are the one that following my husband. I started
Wala,
slapping
wala,
the girl.
wala,
Bang, bang, goes. Public area, a very big
Wow.
supermarket.
So that's it.
So I think from what I can get from you both is that you really do not have to beat me. You really do not have to come out with knife.
Yeah.
to-
Yes.
But then yelling at me, you know,
Verbally safe.
Yeah, verbally. It's also domestic violence, which is actually
And do you know that
beautiful.
there is another one we have that happens around the community, not
Okay.
even with spouse. Is it catcalling? They call it in the market. No, this one will be dragging you there. You know,
Yeah,
Have you
correct.
encountered such before? So you know those type of things.
So
They
that
are
one self-
violent.
that one
Yes,
is
they are
violence.
harassing me.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I hate it when I'm in the market and you're dragging me. If I
touching
want
me.
to get something from you, I'll get it. So just leave me. I'll
Some
sort
people
myself.
can even sometimes if you're in a choked market, they can even start touching you. You understand?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
so you're
yes, yes.
harassing me.
So what do you think are the factors that causes domestic violence?
Yeah, there are some factors that causes domestic violence. At first, there are some marriages that don't even supposed to happen.
Okay.
You already have a green light, even during at the course of relationship. You already know this is a trait of this person. You know they say love is blind, but my dear, it's not blind. It's not actually blind. So there are some relationship that they are made to break. Every individual ought to have been their separate space, but because of this notion of marriage must work, you start forcing it. So what I'm trying to, the essence of what I'm trying to say, there are some relationship that is not even ought to have happened
in
at
the
all.
first place,
You understand? So you being in it, you see different kind of things and all of that. Sometimes it still boils down in this economic issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true, actually.
It still boils down to this economic issue. As husband and wife, what happened now? They'll tell you the man refused to give me money for, and you know the second one is that I'm talking about the marital aspect of violence now. I might not really know what constitutes the or that of the other ones. No, this sex of a thing. Waiting go cause, my dear. What's it cause? So no, many things. When sometimes maybe I am a partner that I have low libido and my husband is in the kitchen, let's do, in the bedroom, let's do.
He likes to do everywhere.
He likes to do everywhere. You know, that kind of husband can do anything. And when men are already hiding, you know, they call it the orgasm is already here.
Yeah.
And they can do
They can't take it anymore.
they can take it with violence. So that is part of the
And they
domestic
end
violence.
up even raping.
You understand?
Okay, so I feel some of the factors that causes domestic violence is we have mental health issues. You know, in a situation whereby the person is depressed and you are coming with your nonchalant behavior, you don't know what I'm going through, and you're just here now invading my privacy. Probably I want to be alone. That can actually prone the person to go violent. And we also have economic stress, like you said, when there is no money and the man has to
That's
think
poverty.
of a way to make things work. And you as a woman, you are giving birth to 7 children, 8 children, and he has to think about how to make things work in the house. So I feel stuff like that too also causes domestic violence. And also I would also look at it from the norms and the cultural aspect of the, like, you know, we believe that the man is the head of the house. So whatever he says, and then there are some men that want to exhibit that power to the extent that too much of power sometimes, if you do not have the
Intoxicates.
control of the power, you abuse it. So when they feel like I'm the head of the family, and you know, to make a family work, a woman brings in an idea, oh, this is how I think it would work. But then because you feel like, oh, you're
pride.
exactly, because of that ego, it could just push them to want to show them that we are not on the same level. So I feel that the cultural norms too also affect that.
Yeah,
and I
definitely.
feel men should realize now that in this time and age, it's not about, oh, I be the oga for the house. We are working hand in hand to make things work. So if you're going through stress outside, let's talk it out. Don't come in and start beating.
Okay, let's not forget this. Some people that are coming from a toxic home, they feel it's a norms. When you see your father yelling at your mother every time, beating, you know, all manner of harassment, it's become a normal thing in the eyes of any individual.
Okay, like you said that it affects the children. That's what you're trying.
It's those children that will still be an adult.
Yes.
So when they eventually marry, they feel it's a norm. This is the home I'm coming from. There's no peace. We don't want peace. We want what? Want violence. So they just bring it in.
For the wicked. Unemployment.
Unemployment too can cause that the stress.
Because a man can be so loving, a woman self can be so loving, but once they lose their job, you get that this thing, you be like, "Ah, was it the man I married?" Because you notice they start eating you, start shouting at you at every little things that happen,
Yeah.
frustration and all of that.
I
So
think
it's
we
also
can
part of
actually
it.
put that under the economic stress and
Yeah.
substance abuse too. Now, for people that take alcohol, too much of it, most times when you check men that take alcohol, I'm not saying that those that take it on the normal level. There are some people that go to the extreme end. Now, to the extent that you can't even control yourself. A little thing that the woman would do once you get home, you start to beat her, which is really unnecessary. And like you said, that it does have impact on the children. Now, in my opinion, like you also said, I agree with you that it doesn't only affect the couples alone. It affects their children. I think I've heard of some, although it is not domestic violence, it is someone that, family friend telling, the mother told the son, go do something because the elder sister was not feeling fine. And he said, I'm a man. Why should I do that? And that stems from the fact that the father said to, when they had issue one time and they were telling my parents, the man said that since he got married to the woman, he already had that thing in his mind. The moment he was getting married, that he would never wash his own clothes himself again. He would never cook for himself again. So this means that even when the woman gives birth, and that I think during that period she needs someone to support her, it doesn't assist, it doesn't do anything.
No be wife
So
married and a slave.
the child too is growing to see that and is feeling like it is for the woman. So if you're asking me to go to the kitchen to go cook because my elder sister is not feeling fine, it's not my business. It is for the ladies. So I feel like children that goes through this, children that see their parents batter their father batter their mother, or the mother is doing vice versa, they grow up with this sense of, their thinking is like, I can do this. And for women, for the child, the female child feels like it's a normal thing for the man to beat a woman. I have a discussion with someone where he said that he had an issue with his girlfriend, and the girlfriend, because she already felt like every man beats their woman, was like, okay, you have to beat me.
Yeah, there are some,
Like, you have to
there are
beat
some
me.
cases
You're
like that.
holding his
They,
clothes,
they
you beat
feel
me.
that is a method of a guy showing them love. I've had some series of those kind of cases that, oh, he beats me, he scolded me. They coin it to be scolded. Oh, he scolded me. I think he loves me. He care about me. He really, maybe he's he's too insecure about me.
Yeah.
They feel that is love. They coin it to be.
I saw a movie too where the woman, she knows that whenever her husband beat her, he gives her 500,000, gives her a huge amount of money. Now it also depends on how much he beats her. Let's say he beat her to the extent
percentage of beating.
yeah. So if he beat her to the extent whereby she was rushed to the hospital, the amount of money she would collect during that time would be much more than when he just slaps her. So she begins to trigger him to beat her because of the money she was getting from it. Now her target was 10 million naira. I have to get 10 million naira before I stop this. So he has to keep beating me till I hand that 10 million. And once I get that 10 million naira, I'm leaving the marriage. But unfortunately, when she got there, I think she already raised about 6 million naira. So this guy has beaten her severally. They would go for events, beat her from there till they get home.
Was it a contract?
It wasn't a contract. It was, the guy loves her, but the guy is temperamental. So any little thing he hits her, just apologize with money. Now she already got 6 million naira. Every other person, there's nobody you would even tell outside that I will not tell you it's time to go. 6 million naira
No
is a whole
problem.
lot of money.
You can use that money in the grave.
Sincerely, now they went for an event. She does it intentionally. She could just meet up with a guy to tell the guy to come with her, and the husband will see, beat her. Then at this point in time, the guy actually beat her till she died.
Okay.
The 6 million, the 10 million.
The bottom line of the story,
That's
did they use part of the money to buy the coffee?
Now bank carry the money. Does the man even know that
exactly? The man does not know that she was saving the
collect
money.
now.
So I think the money is now for the bank, except if she has a nest of kin that she told her, okay, this is how you will get my money.
I will give you a befitting burial.
I send you message.
So with this little story, I want to ask, when does victim of domestic violence draw the line? Like, I can't take this anymore.
For me, I will never wait to marry you.
Okay.
If we're probably in the talking stage, or maybe we are dating or something, and maybe I see that you're this kind of person, at any little thing I do, you shout at me.
Yeah.
Or when the guy wants to eat you, you will know. But some of them, when they talk, you see that he's already about raising his
His
hand and he
hand.
controls himself. He relationship will
Run,
enter
no.
marriage. He will put his mind on the wall. Mama, we go. That relationship to never last. I will just go. I'll walk away because I'm
Okay.
always quick to walk out.
In your own perspective now, the moment you sense it,
Exactly.
like
Once I
this is a
sense
red flag. In fact, the moment you start yelling at me, I am out of it.
I'm out of
There-
it,
You
though.
know, I used to tell people there are ways you can make your partner feel bad for doing something wrong to you without yelling. Some people will just go silent on you, and once they go silent on you, as far as you have guilty conscience, we just tell you like I've done something wrong, and you want to know what did I do? Okay, I'm sorry about that. You know, just to make things come back to normal. So you really do not have to yell at me before you make me see reasons why you're hungry.
That boils down to children too.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily you hit a child
Yes.
before you can correct.
yeah, sure, definitely.
They say spare the rod and spoil the child. Is that not that's the notion they give to us? But one thing is that there is no manual for training a child.
Yeah.
Sure.
You learn in the process. This is the way that Peter's parents do train their children. It's different from the way you will train your own
Your
children.
child.
What I'm saying, the essence of what I'm saying, there is no manual. So it's not necessarily you hit your child before you are able to have the idea
correct
that
them.
you are correcting the child. There are so many ways you can correct a child. You can deprive a child maybe of his or her comfortability.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, for this month, no watching of film.
TV,
Yes.
yeah.
No watching of television, no doing this. I think it's more like it's very punishable to a child than evil beating.
Okay, so I think I'll come in there. I was able to witness a situation whereby the mom was like that. You know, she's been calling the child, stop that. And then she said, I'm going to seize your tab from you. You're not going to have access to your phone for this week if you keep doing that. And I was discussing with the person that were there together when it happened. I said, you don't have to beat a child to correct a child. I said, the funny thing is what she said now is actually a very big thing. Because while growing up, I love movies so much. I love watching movie. To the extent that my parent had to ask me, is it movie you want to watch or you want to go to school? Let's assume that in that situation, they collect everything that would make me have access to watching movie. There's nothing they tell me to do that I will not do. So rather than beating me that and I'll get used to, they will beat me and we'll move on. But then taking something that they love so much away from them is a way of making them see reason why they should come back to the normal sense. You're not supposed to do this. This is wrong. You literally do not have to beat it out.
Okay,
to make your point
let
known.
me quickly put this in. Maybe for the sake of some audience that might give us a backlash that what are you saying? Can't I correct my child with skin? Nobody's telling you not to beat your child. You can actually, I don't contradict my words. You can actually correct a child with cane. But when it gets to the point of abuse, the beating and abusing a child is a different
Yeah.
thing. When you start inflicting injuries on the child, that is abuse.
Yes.
When you start marking the child with razor blade,
Blade.
or in the name of
you pepper
maybe-
their eyes.
you understand that is abuse. So this is the manner of violence we are talking about.
I actually agree with you people because to me, I feel always using cane to even beat a child makes them more stubborn.
Yeah.
It makes them even when you hit goats, you see that they'll still come back.
Come
to
back,
you.
yeah.
So that's it. Makes them more stubborn. And I think of recent, I think they've banned schools from hitting
Children,
in
yeah.
school. Yeah. So I think they already passed it into that no school should hit a child.
Okay.
You know, there's this issue of seniors in the school to in boarding house that they do stuff like that. They punish the junior ones, they abuse them. There's a law now that if any senior should do that, there's a punishment they would also receive. So just let them be. If they do something wrong, report to the teacher, let them do the right thing. But here is another question for you both.
Okay.
Now, we've heard cases of women saying, oh, I can't live because of my child. The man is beating them.
Okay.
They're going through domestic violence, but their only reason is, I can't live because of my children. I have 2 children. If I leave now, he would marry another woman, and the woman he would marry would not take care of my children. Now, for a woman that does not have any source of income, you know, there are some, when they want to control you, they take out everything that gives you strength. Now let's assume you're an independent lady and you got involved with a guy that has a lot of money and he wants to be in control. The best thing he would would do for you is take out that independence. He wants you to depend on him. So once you start to depend on him, that is when he feels, okay, I can control your life. There's nothing you can do now. So in a situation whereby the woman is married, and obviously when she got married, she was not allowed to work, so there's no source of income. And then the man starts to beat her, the man starts to get aggressive, and now she's like, okay, I can't live because of my child. Or in a situation whereby the woman owns the child, got married to a man that has money, and then the man beats the child because the man is their only source of income, is the one taking care of them. She can't leave the marriage. Do you think this is enough reason for women to stay in an abusive relationship?
My dear, why will you be a woman and you don't have a source of income and you are entering in one marriage?
Okay.
It's not even ideal. That is why they are telling you, empower yourself as a woman. I think it came from this issue of violence. That is why they were hitting it, because it's part of excuses of women. Oh, this just as you have just analyzed.
Yeah.
You don't be dependent. Marriage is not poverty alleviation agency or scheme. So marriage is not saving you from your poverty. Work on yourself financially.
Yeah.
If you work on yourself, though we still see some cases of even women that are the breadwinners of the house, they are still undergoing this domestic violence. But if that is the case, my dear, or you are giving excuse of because of my child, if you eventually die, that woman you don't want train your child, we still eventually train your child in your absence, when you are in the grave.
Yeah.
They will even come and drop flowers every year in your,
That's if they remember.
That's if they remember.
They will not remember.
So what if the child will eventually do his or her life?
Yeah.
Life will go on without you. So one thing is that love yourself before anybody. Even as a parent, love yourself before any child.
Yes, actually. Yeah. So I agree with Grace. So it's not enough reason. Just walk away if you know you can't take it anymore. Because your children are not babies. When they grow up, they will definitely look for their mother. That's just what I feel.
You know, I also agree with you guys. And I used to say something whenever I hear a situation of domestic violence and the woman saying, oh, I can't live because of my child. I usually say that woman is a wicked person. You're devil yourself. Now, you're saying you can't live because of your child. But when you die, those children will go through more pains than you can ever
of being motherless.
Now, these children will grow up pointing fingers at you that you destroyed their life. Now, the children you want to protect, and it led to the person's death. Now, these same children are pointing fingers at you at the long run, like, my mom's ruined my life. Some children will even tell their mother, mommy, run away. But they will say, no, I have to support I have to support your father. I have to make you understand that a woman does not leave their husband home. But in the actual sense, there are ways of telling your child, train them to be independent. The fact that I left your father does not mean that you can't meet a man that would love you and would care for you. I left your father because we were not compatible. There are ways of showing your children more things and making them understand
Giving
things.
them reasons.
Yes, you don't have to be because, I want them to know that as a woman, you have to stand by your husband. No matter what you're going through, you have to stay with them.
Not to prove the best mom.
Mommy, you're not doing right by that child. Really. And okay, I want to ask this. We all know, I think even just sitting down here and what we've been seeing the whole time is men eating the women. But let's look at this. We've seen cases of
reverse
women.
is the case.
Yeah. Although it's not so much, maybe not so much up, because men have their ego. It would be so difficult for them to come out and be like, oh, my wife is abusing me. It's actually difficult, but it's easy for a woman to come out and be like, this man is abusing me and all of that. So what do you think about this, women abusing men? Now, there was a time someone asked me a question and he said that when a man slaps a woman in a relationship, when they're just still dating, what will I do? I said, if I'm the one, I'm not going back to that relationship. The fact that you slapped me means you will do more when we get married. Then he said, okay, let's assume you got hungry and you slapped the man. What should the man do? And then I went, well, I'll apologize to him that I'm sorry. And he said, do you think he should come back? And I couldn't answer because I already said from
emotional
the get-go
blackmail.
I already said it from the very get-go that if I were to be the one, I'm leaving the relationship.
You can do it, but you don't want
exactly.
them to do it to you.
But then when he said this, I was like, okay, well, I'm not a violent person, so there's no need to even ask me that question. But here's the question. in a situation whereby it is the lady that hits the man, do you think the man should also walk out of that relationship? Now, we discussed that and someone said, that it could be that might be the first time. It might be the hunger, everything or anything. But then, let's not be biased. Do you think the men should also walk out of that relationship when stuff like that happens?
Yes, because if she can eat you now, she will eat you again when you get married to her. She will even do more than that. She will pour soup on your body.
Okay. To my observation, I think men go through abuse. It's even 50-50. Because we have already stated it that it's not until you hit someone.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know how many verbal abuse that women give to men? When you emotional downcast. You think they are not humans? They are humans. So I think when talking about violence, it's 50-50. It's just that the main aspect of it is that it's verbally abuse.
Yeah.
Psychological abuse.
It's not physical.
It's not physical because we don't have that. Maybe if we had that strength, that physical strength, maybe. But it's always verbal abuse, psychological abuse, mental stress.
Mental stress. All right. So I want to ask now, when victims. We have victims. Some people are still going through that. Now, some people, when you gift them, they believe that it's okay. I can get over it. It's fine. It would be fine, like the movie that I said. But then I feel the reason why a victim cannot leave their abuser is it already has psychological effect on them. So even when you advise them otherwise, they will still be the one to pack their things to the man's house. Yeah, we've seen cases of family member going to the family to their house and be like, okay, she can't stay here. Pack your things and leave. And trust me, before the end of that week, she would move back because it already has psychological effect on her. Now she has gotten to a point whereby she blames herself for everything. It is my fault. It's not his fault. It was because I pissed him off. If I didn't do this, he wouldn't have done that to me. So in this case, we know that this person is already affected psychologically. Okay. People like this, where can they get help from? What do you think they can do in order to get out of this situation?
Okay. First of all, if maybe they have gone through counseling, therapy, but because there are people around their environment that are seeing all of this, so that is where involvement of the society comes in. Because you cannot see your neighbor going through all of that and you keep quiet. Yeah, sure. Unless you don't love the person. One day you will just hear they will tell you that the person is gone. Something just happened and all of that. He or she slumped and that was all. Yeah. So get involved as an individual. As a neighbor. Yeah. Do you understand? So if after you have advised the person, okay, take yourself to a therapy, don't you advise? Maybe the person didn't even realize what violence is. Yeah, sure. Because maybe they are coming from, just like I've said earlier on, they are coming from a toxic home. Yeah. So seeing it, they don't even know that if it is violence. Yeah. They feel it's the norms. So if you advise the person and the person did not yield, or trying helping the person through therapy, through counseling and all of that, just know that the person is destined to die in violence.
Exactly, because they will see you as a bad person.
Just know that the person is destined to die in violence.
I also feel that I don't know if it happens in Nigeria, but outside the country, when your neighbor does not even have to come meet the man that don't beat her like
report
Nigerians.
311. They just call the police.
911.
I have been hearing us in this apartment. They're disturbing my peace of mind. So please come do something about this.
Because it's totally air pollution too.
Sincerely. Now, the whole thing is not affecting you as a couple alone. It's also affecting the community, people that lives around you. Now, let's even put aside the fact that people around you can know. Children around that visiting, it is not only your child that is getting affected.
The other children are hearing you every day. Exactly. They are watching.
So people in that community feels like, oh, that's how it beats his wife. The next thing is the woman will still go to the market and go for I feel like children will start growing and that's why I feel every parent should try their possible best to mold their own child. Now, when something like that is best for you to tell your child as a neighbor, you see what they're doing here?
It's right.
It's not right. It's wrong. So the fact that after beating her, he gets her gift does not mean he loves her. He does not. So take your time to mold your child. Now, the child that we don't take our time to train now are the one that become nuisance out there. You hear people say, who gave birth to him? Who is even your parent? It is because the parent did not take their time. Now, that guy is all or that lady is going through traumatic experience. It is down up there. It's not, if he doesn't know what he's doing is wrong. That's the problem. So I feel like not just as a community, take your time to train your own child. Look after your words very well. I don't want you to be like these people. These things happen, but you will see the end result would not be okay. She might actually lose her life. So I feel parents who should also take their time to, do this. And for anyone that is going through all of this, see a therapist, like you said. See a therapist, talk to a therapist. They would help you realize what you're doing, and they will help you realize what is going on.
Yeah.
Talk to people that would help you.
It's a mental illness too.
Sincerely, it's a mental illness, because some pastors too will tell you, hey, the Lord did not support it.
Yes.
Continue.
We are going there.
Continue with it.
Who do we run to?
Keep pushing. You would keep praying to God. But I would say that instead of me staying in that relationship, praying to God, I'm not divorcing you, but let's be separate. We are not divorced. We are still married, but let's stay separately. Let me get my own apartment and be there while I'm praying to God to change you.
But do you think they can really change? They cannot change.
They can't change, because these men do not
change.
even know what. See, change starts from the point where you realize I am doing something wrong.
Exactly.
So if they do not realize they're doing something wrong, and there's nobody to make them realize they're doing something wrong, then there will be no reason for them to ask for help. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, whereby you said that, do they even know that they're doing something wrong? Yes, majority of them do not see it as something wrong, and some of them, they see it as something wrong, but they feel like they can't control themselves. Now, you can't control yourself. Why don't you seek help? Why don't you talk to people? But then they still feel like, hey, I will get over it. I will change.
Because
And then
you don't know that you are mentally derailed. Yes, now it's part of psychiatric something. You need psychiatric help. You are not normal. It's not everybody that roam around the streets that are normal. That is mentally derailed. Maybe you yourself, you need psychiatric doctor too.
but some people believe when you talk about psychiatry, they just believe that it's for the mad people.
No.
But then going to a psychiatrist,
But for me,
does not
you
mean-
yourself, you are mad. For a man to be raising his hand on a woman or a woman, it's madness. It's a woman you claim you. Oh, I love you. So what's now the definition of love that you're talking about?
So I think we need to tell the people that, seeking for help, going to a psychiatrist does not mean you're mad. It only means you want to change. You love that woman as much as you said. Beating her does not mean you love her. Because you saw her talking to a man and you want to prove to her that I love you, I can't share you with nobody, and you start to beat her, it doesn't mean you love her. If you have that kind of thing, as a guy, while growing up, probably you've gone through that, you've been through that trauma, and it's affecting you, there is need for you to see people that can help you. Go see a psychiatrist, go to a therapist, talk to them, let them help you out. If it's drug you have to use, they will give you. If it's depression that is causing it, we have loads of depression drugs out there. They would prescribe something for you and you would get better instead of you killing someone. The result of all those things is when you kill someone, you don't even have your life again, because once you're caught, life imprisonment or death.
Please seek for help and find man. Find man. Seek for help.
All right, so I think that will be all on today's episode. Next week we'll be bringing in an expert who would give us more insight about domestic violence. Today we're just talking about it on the surface, but next week we'll be talking deep into the matter. And I hope you guys will tune in next week to listen to us. And then today I want to say a big shout out to Paul, for our producer, for staying with us in the studio, and also to Rebecca, good afternoon, and to my amazing people, my co-hosts Precious and Grace. Thanks for joining in today.
Thank you.
Until next week, do have a blessed weekend.